Lacto-fermented probiotic sauerkraut is really beneficial for your health. Everybody knows that. But what to do if you never got to like the taste? Well, probably you should try the recipe that I'm going to share in my next video. Nordic people has a long history with fermented products partly because our climate is so severe that it's the only possibility to store food. I'm not only talking about vegetables. Everybody knows the infamous, the Swedish fermented fish. And the sauerkraut has been known in Finland for centuries. But today's recipe comes from a different part of the world. It actually comes from the country named Georgia. I'm not sure, is it really a Georgian recipe? But anyway, my grandma, from whom I got this recipe, always called it Georgian sauerkraut. And unlike the traditional lacto-fermented sauerkraut, this one is a really different story. It is spicy and it has so many flavors that I promise you're gonna like that. I will put the detailed recipe into description so you can find the exact proportions there. But roughly you would need cabbage, of course, and per every cabbage you would need 1 beetroot, around 4 pieces of garlic, celery, and it should be a leaf celery. And also you would need some hot peppers, some chilies, and it depends on your taste, how hot you like your food, but the general rule is 2 chilies for 1 cabbage. Also, this is not in original recipes. So if you Google Georgian sauerkraut, you probably wouldn't find this, but my grandma always used that, and it makes the cabbage in this sauerkraut really crunchy. And this is a horseradish, and per 1 cabbage you would need this amount of horseradish. It's around 15 grams. I recommend that you would start small, and I'm going to make this amount of Georgian sauerkraut, and I'm not kidding, it's really this good. So let's start preparing the Georgian sauerkraut. Be sure that your hands are clear and you thoroughly washed all the products such as cabbage, beetroot, and so on. And you will have to remove upper leaves from the cabbage because usually they are not really good. And for this recipe you would need to buy a winter types of cabbage, which is really white, firm and crunchy. And unlike with typical sauerkraut, we would need to cut it into really chunky pieces. And I'm going to cut this cabbage in half, and then every half I will cut in half again, and then I will use the 8th part of the cabbage. This is a good piece. Next, we are going to remove the skin from the beetroot and cut it into things. Cut it in half, and then every half I'm cutting into thin slices like that. Now I'm taking a horseradish and I'm removing the skin from the horseradish, and then I'm cutting it into some thin pieces like that. And also we would need to cut garlic and chilies, and I don't remove seeds from the chilies because in this recipe we would need some hotness, but at the same time I'm recommending you to use regular chilies and do not go for a really hot types of chilies like habanero or something like that. So now we are going to start making layers, and I'm putting some celery leaves and a few pieces of garlic and a few pieces of chili and some horseradish. Next I'm going to put some beetroots, and then I'm going to put chunks of cabbage. So it covers all the space here. Something like that. And then I'm placing the remaining spices, chilies, garlic, horseradish, and remaining beetroots. And make sure that beetroots are evenly covering the cabbage. And lastly, I'm throwing some celery on the top. And then all you need to do is to repeat all layers again and again until your can or your jar or whatever you make sauerkraut in is full, but not completely full. Be sure to leave some space for the liquid that will appear during the fermentation process. Next thing we are going to prepare is the brine, and it's really easy. It's just a boiling water and rock salt. And do not afraid to make more brine that you actually need, because the brine really should cover all your cabbage in the container that you're preparing it. So for every 1 liter of water you would need to put 1.5 tablespoons of salt. So I have roughly 4 liters here. And make sure that all salt dissolved in the brine, and then let it cool. Set it aside and let it cool a bit, because we need it warm but not boiling hot. So it will take some time to cool down. And also you can taste the brine, because, well, it should taste really salty. Really salty. And I'm feeling that it's not enough. I will put some more salt in there. And that's it. You don't need no vinegar, no sugar, no anything else. Just the rock salt and the water. When you're removing some leaves, some upper leaves from the cabbage, you can save some to cover the top before you pouring the brine into it. But be sure that these leaves you are putting on the top are not rotten or damaged or anything like that. When the brine cools down a bit, pour it over your cabbage, your future sauerkraut, and the next thing we do is put a tableware, some dish over it, and then a really good weight. It should be like a stone, or in my case I have this concrete thing wrapped in plastic. It's really heavy, and then cover it with a lid, or it's better if you cover it with some cloths, because the fermentation process needs an oxygen. The next thing you're gonna do is to put a container with the sauerkraut in a warm place, a room temperature around 20, 22, 24 degrees Celsius. So put it into a warm place and keep it at least for 3 days. Usually it's 3 to 5 days depending on the temperature you have. And after that, put it in a cooler place. I keep it in a cellar where I have 5 to 10 degrees Celsius during winter. And the sauerkraut, the Georgian sauerkraut, will be ready in 2 weeks. So today is the 3rd day after I put this sauerkraut, room temperature, and as you can see, those bubbles and the amount of liquid really increased, and those bubbles means that the process really goes well. And if you press on the weight, you will see how bubbles rise up. So this means the fermenting goes really well. And I think today I'm going to place it into the cold cellar, and of course it will continue fermenting, but a little slower. And as I said, it will be ready in 2 weeks. So it's been roughly 2 weeks, and I guess that Georgian sauerkraut is ready. And now I'm gonna try it and tell you how it tastes like. Let's see. Oh my god, it is so crunchy, and the texture is so firm. It's amazing, and flavors are so complex. Nothing is overpowering, and you can taste garlic, and you can taste celery, and you have this chili hotness, but it's not too hot. So maybe if you like your food to be really hot, you probably should double the quantity of chilies comparing to what I used. But to me, this taste is perfect. And of course, it is sour because it is the sauerkraut in some sorts, but it's not as sour as traditional sauerkraut. And this sourness is not overpowering. It's amazing. I definitely recommend you to make this Georgian sauerkraut. Well, if you prepare a small amount, you probably would want to rewatch this video and to prepare it again, because it's really good. And if you like this recipe, you might check the other recipe that I have on my channel. It's a Swedish midsummer cake, and you can watch it there. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video if you find it helpful. And if you are looking for more recipes like that, you might consider subscribing. Although my channel is mostly about gardening, but also I'm doing some recipes. And let me know in the comments what kind of fermented food you prepare in your country. And see you again on my channel.